The Song of the Mud by Mary Borden. Poetry. Background. The trenches of World War I were constantly being eroded by weather. Rains turned battlefields to mud, and trenches were filled with water. Rats abounded, and they ate the men's food and chewed on the corpses. Trenchfoot, a fungal disease, was common because of the muddy environment. In extreme cases, the soldier's foot would be amputated. Lice caused trench fever, another illness that thrived in the unhealthy mud at the front. Meet the poet. Mary Borden, born 1886, died 1968, was born in Chicago to a wealthy family. When World War I broke out, she worked as a nurse in a field hospital that she had equipped with her own money. During this time, she wrote The Song of the Mud. She continued to write after the war and published The Forbidden Zone, a book of short stories, in 1929. In World War II, she helped set up an ambulance unit that supported the exiled French government's forces in the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. The Song of the Mud by Mary Borden. This is the song of the mud. The pale yellow glistening mud that covers the hills like satin. The gray gleaming silvery mud that is spread like enamel over the valleys. The frothing, squirting, spurting liquid mud that gurgles along the roadbeds. The thick, elastic mud that is kneaded and pounded and squeezed under the hooves of the horses. The invincible, inexhaustible mud of the war zone. This is the song of the mud, the uniform of the poilu. His coat is of mud, his great dragging, flapping coat that is too big for him and too heavy. His coat that once was blue and now is gray and stiff with the mud that cakes to it. This is the mud that clothes him. His trousers and boots are of mud, and his skin is of mud, and there is mud in his beard. His head is crowned with a helmet of mud. He wears it well. He wears it as a king wears the ermine that bores him. He has set a new style in clothing. He has introduced the chic of mud. This is the song of the mud that wriggles its way into battle. The impertinent, the intrusive, the ubiquitous, the unwelcome. The slimy, inveterate nuisance that fills the trenches, that mixes in with the food of the soldiers, that spoils the working of motors and crawls into their secret parts, that spreads itself over the guns, that sucks the guns down and holds them fast in its slimy, voluminous lips, that has no respect for destruction and muzzles the bursting shells, and slowly, softly, easily, soaks up the fire, the noise, soaks up the energy and the courage, soaks up the power of armies, soaks up the battle. Just soaks it up and thus stops it. This is the hymn of mud, the obscene, the filthy, the putrid, the vast liquid grave of our armies. It has drowned our men. Its monstrous distended belly reeks with the undigested dead. Our men have gone into it, sinking slowly and struggling and slowly disappearing. Our fine men, our brave, strong, young men, our glowing red, shouting, brawny men. Slowly, inch by inch, they have gone down into its darkness, its thickness, its silence. Slowly, irresistibly, it drew them down, sucked them down, and they were drowned in thick, bitter, heaving mud. Now it hides them, oh, so many of them. Under its smooth, glistening surface it is hiding them blandly. There is not a trace of them. There is no mark where they went down. The mute, enormous mouth of the mud has closed over them. This is the song of the mud, the beautiful, glistening, golden mud that covers the hills like satin, the mysterious, gleaming, silvery mud that is spread like enamel over the valleys. Mud, the disguise of the war zone. Mud, the mantle of battles. Mud, the smooth, fluid grave of our soldiers. This is the song of the mud.